to our top story today. Forensic police have focused their search on an Airbnb in Tenerife, where missing British teenager Jay Slater reportedly vanished from.
Well, this comes as one of the men who last saw the 18-year-old insists that the teen was alive when he left the property.
And meanwhile, Jay's mother, Debbie Duncan, has revealed her pain and agony over her son's disappearance.
Well, joining us now is former Metropolitan Police Detective Peter Bleksley. Always good to see you this morning, Peter. What's the development that we've had overnight?
Yeah, we've heard the story about how Jay apparently left this music venue in Playa de las Americas and travelled with two older men in a car to this Airbnb apartment in a place called Masca, which is about an hour away from Playa de las Americas. And of course, the two men in this vehicle have been the subject of huge speculation on social media, and so have many other aspects of this puzzling disappearance. And at that point, I'd actually think I owe many people in the nation a bit of an apology, because I've been very dismissive of much of the speculation, rumour, gossip and the such like that is featured on social media. Now, that said, some of it has been plain wicked and some of it has just been utterly unnecessary and unwelcome. But in many regards, certain aspects of Jay's disappearance have been driven forward by the continual chat and actually some revelations that people who are essentially armchair detectives have turned out to really have some merit. Anyway, back to this point. Overnight, one of the men, who's 31 years old, has come forward and said, yes, Jay was in my car, drove him to the apartment, he was alive when he went in the apartment, he was alive when he went out of the apartment. So he's saying, you know, I have nothing further to add, although, as with so many aspects of this story, things are not crystal clear, because this man himself does have a criminal conviction for drug dealing some years ago.
And Peter, what was interesting about this from the very start, a lot of people were saying, well, why isn't there more focus on that apartment, that Airbnb? We know that Jay was there, but instead the authorities, they chose to fan out across this mountainous terrain with drones, with sniffer dogs, with helicopters, a very, very different type of investigation. And those two fellas that were allegedly with Jay Slater in his final known hours, they seem to slip out the country and evade detection. So have they looked down the wrong end of the telescope, do you think, in some respects?
I think what they did was that the Guardia Civil, the Spanish police, got entirely focused on one theory, possibly to the exclusion of all else.
But he went walkies.
Yes, and really what a senior investigating officer should do is sit back, and they might well say, yes, this is our working hypothesis, the expression British police use these days. That's what we're going to focus on, but keep an open mind with regards to everything else, because it's rather embarrassing for the Spanish police for two of their plainclothes officers to be seen coming out of that Airbnb with forensic overshoes over their day shoes 2 weeks after Jay has disappeared, because any experienced scenes of crime officer or detective will tell you that when it comes to the collection and retention and preservation of forensic evidence, you only get one chance to get it right.
What do you make, Peter, of the speculation, of the rumour that you've seen on social media in the past 17 days? I was looking on Facebook the other day. There's over 500,000 members on this Jay Slater missing page. I mean, it's gripped the nation, hasn't it? Why do you think that is?
It really has, because there are so many unanswered questions. What do teenagers or people in their early 20s go to somewhere like Tenerife or elsewhere in Spain to a music festival for? What do they go there for? Dancing. Maybe drink, maybe drugs, maybe casual sex, maybe something else. Because it's an undeniable fact that in many of these resorts on the Spanish mainland and various islands like the Balearics and what have you, drugs are rife. And young people can go there and take them, obtain them very, very easily. Not only young people. I was doing some inquiries on something entirely unrelated in Spain just a couple of years ago, and people were telling me stories of how retired pensioners in their 50s are hoovering up industrial quantities of cocaine. I mean, how undignified if that's what people who should know better are actually doing.
But it attracts those kind of tourists from around the world, and because it could be our kids, I think. That's why we're so fascinated. It could be any one of our teenagers just gone disappearing after an ordinary night out.
It could, and there are some real lessons to be learnt here for not only young people, but people who are older. There's a story this week about a man from Ireland who was found dead in Magaluf with alcohol and drugs in his blood system. You know, there's messages here that if you're going to a foreign land, albeit to enjoy yourself, and you want to have a good time, you want to drink, you want to party, you still have to have your wits about you. You have to be aware of your surroundings, aware of people that are around you. And that's not to say don't have a good time, but please, please, please stay a bit sensible and look after your own safety and those around you.
Superb advice. Peter Bleksley, always a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us this morning on Breakfast. Thank you.
Thank you very much.